Hello you guys, it's Katie and welcome back to another video. For today's video, I have my 2025 market bestsellers to share with you guys. So if you keep up with me on Instagram especially, but even here on YouTube, you probably know that I have sold at a lot of markets in 2025. And at the beginning of 2025, I did a video like this for 2024 as well, where I shared my top 15 best sellers for my markets. So I wanted to do it this year so we can kind of compare what items have sold better, what items have sold maybe less, what's now in the top 15 versus what was for the previous year. And just like I did last year, I'm gonna give you guys how much I charge for each of these items at my markets, as well as I'm going to give you the crochet patterns that I use for each of these items in the description box down below. So if you're interested in crocheting any of these for your own markets, then you can check out those crochet patterns. And I don't remember if I did this last year. I don't think I did, but for this year's video, I'm also going to give you guys more of a breakdown of like different colors of each item as well, because there's some of my items that I make in multiple different colors. So I'm going to also give you a breakdown of what color was the top seller for each of those items as well. So before we get into the top 15, a couple things I want to tell you guys. First off, I live in Florida, so prices and like market seasons and even what sells good for me is probably going to be different for everybody. But especially prices will be different for everybody because, you know, cost of living, the wages people make, what they can afford here is different from everywhere else. So if you try to charge the same price as me, it may be too much in your area or maybe not enough. So I always like to preface with that. I'm only sharing my prices so you can get an idea of kind of around the range that might work for you. And then I also wanted to tell you guys that I sold at 25 markets this year, which ended up being 29 market days because I had 4 different markets that were 2 days each. And then the rest of them were all one-day events. So 25 events total. And the season typically goes from October to May, but this past year I did do a couple events in the summertime as well that were like indoor events and whatnot. But most of my big events are like fall, Christmas time, that sort of thing. All right, so we're gonna go from the bottom of the list, number 15, and all the way up to number 1. So first on my list, number 15 had 17 items sell, and that was my mini bees. So I charge $5 for these. I have a little minis bin at my market that includes mini octopus, mini whales, and mini bees. And I ended up selling 17 of those mini bees, again for $5 each. I normally make these in burlap blanket, but they still turn out pretty small. And these are my ones that I started making so I could have something that was cheaper for people to buy, because especially if you end up at like the end of a market or something, you get a lot of little kids coming up being like, I only have $5 left. Do you have anything I could buy? And for like years of doing markets, I would have to tell them no, and I felt so bad. So I started making the $5 bin items. So number 15 on the list is 17 of those little bees sold. So number 14 on the list with 18 sold is my bigger octopus. I sell these for 14 each. And some of these prices have changed since last year, by the way. Some of my items I did go up a couple dollars on just because, you know, economy, that sort of thing. But anyways, I think this one last year I was charging $12 for, and now I'm charging 14. They still seem to sell about as well as I did, and that's kind of the same for all my items. Even if I did increase the price, they still seem to sell as well as they used to. So this is your sign if you've been thinking about increasing your prices, to just try it out. You can always decrease them if stuff isn't selling for you, but buy like $1 or $2 extra is all I've done. And people really aren't gonna bat an eye at like $1 or $2 extra, from my experience at least. But again, might depend on your area and all that. But yes, I sold 18 of these octopus. And the number 13 spot, also with 18 items, so kind of a tie between these two, is chunky mushrooms. These are ones that I wish I had the time to crochet even more of, but unfortunately I don't. If I had the time to crochet more of them, they'd probably be higher on the list, but they ended up in the 13th place with 18 of them sold, and I charge $15 for each of these. I typically do these in red, but I've done them in other colors and they sell well as well. But typically red is the top seller. Oh, and by the way, for the octopus, I do them in all sorts of colors. So there's really no like best-selling color, I guess you could say, but people do prefer them in multicolors, I think, than just like a plain blue or something. So I do normally stick to some sort of multicolor like burnout blanket, like a bluish, purple, pink, gray, colors like that are just kind of fun. Next, for the 12th spot, I had 25 of these items sell, and that is my little eggs. So I display these in a frying pan. People love the display in the frying pan, and I charge $10 for these. These are really pretty quick to make. Other than like my keychains and my mini items, I think these are quickest for me to make. So $10 has worked out really well for me. And like I said, it's a really good eye-catching item with the display of the eggs in the frying pan. So that was 25 of those sold. And now on to the 11th spot where we had 27 of them sell, and that is octopus keychains. These I have found have been really popular this year, especially because little kids and their parents want them to have something that's like useful, kinda. So keychains are a good option for that because they can like have it on their backpack or something instead of just a little plushie that's gonna like sit in their room. So a lot of parents tend to like steer the kids towards the keychains because of that. So yeah, I had 27 of those sell and I charged $10 for all of my keychains. For spot number 10 with 29 of these sold is ducks, and I charge $14 for these. So these are the mallard ducks. People really love these and I have a lot of fun with them as well. I think they're like one of my favorite items that I crochet. They're also no-sew, which a lot of these patterns are actually. I don't know if any of these patterns on my list have sewing involved. I don't think there's a single one. Oh no, there is one. I'll tell you when I get to it. But there's only one item on this list for you guys that has sewing involved, because if you know me, you know I don't like taking the time to sew everything on. I only do that for like special items, typically. So anyways, 29 of the ducks sold for $14 each. This is one that I feel like ended up being more popular towards the end of the year. The markers that I had more towards the beginning of 2025, I didn't really see them being sold that much. And now recently I haven't been able to keep the ducks in stock. I make 3 or 4 of them for every market and they sell at every single market. So I make it for the next market and they sell at every single market. So maybe ducks are more trendy for some reason now. I don't know. I don't keep up with like kids shows and stuff. So maybe, who knows? But anyways, ducks are definitely a good one that a lot of people have seemed to have liked. Next, for the number 9th spot, we're now in the top 10. I forgot to mention that, but we're now in the top 10. This is also kind of tied with the 10th spot because also sold 29 of these items, and that is pickles. I charge $15 for these, and this is another one where I do a cool display. I have a little pickle jar. I also have some tongs next to it at my market. So a lot of people just love the display of the pickle jar and they have to look at the pickles because the pickle jar is so funny. If you've watched any of my other market videos, you know all of my tips and tricks of the displays, but yeah, that's another big one for me is the pickles in the pickle jar. Again, charge $15 for each of those and I sold 29 of them. And for the pickles, by the way, I just do green, of course, but I do make different faces on them. I have happy face ones, angry face ones, and straight face ones. And the most that I sold by a landslide pretty much is angry face ones. People love the angry faces. I do have a tutorial here on my YouTube channel for how to do the angry face, the straight face, and the happy face on your amigurumi. So if you guys would like to check that out, I can link in the description box as long as I remember. But the angry face ones are by far the most sold. I have 16 of those sold, and then I had 9 sell with a smile and 4 sell with a straight face. That is one that, again, people love, and especially with the angry face. Whenever I display them, I try to make sure the angry face one is pointed out to where people could see it because, again, people just get a kick out of that so much. Next item in the 8th spot, I sold 31 of, and that is bees. So I make them in regular black and yellow, which is my top seller, but I do also make them in rainbow, and people seem to like those as well. I had 7 of them sell in rainbow colors, and the rest were in regular colors. So 31 of those sold total, and I charge $15 for each of those. The bee pattern is my one pattern on this list that I have to sew for, and it's only the 2 wings you have to sew onto the body. So it's really not that much sewing. My mini bee pattern that's on here is no sew because the wings are small, but for this $15 bee, I just like the way the wings look when they're sewn on better. I've tried many times to make the no sew wings, and it just doesn't look proportional to the body in my opinion, so I just stick to sewing them on. But anyways, 31 of those sold. And the next spot, number 7, we have kind of a big jump in the amount of items sold. This is 40 of them, and this is my baby chicks. So the baby chicks are actually the same pattern pack as the mallard ducks. It's just all yellow, and I charged $12 for these. And again, I had 40 of them sell. And I only make these in yellow. I've never made them in any sort of other color, by the way. 40 of those sold for $12. Again, kind of like the ducks, I noticed that these picked up a lot. I did sell a lot of them at my markets in like April for springtime. And then pretty much from April onward, I noticed that they really picked up in sales, that I really wasn't able to keep them in stock. So definitely that was on the rise as far as sales this year as well, was the chicks and the ducks. Next item, you guys, we are on to the 6th place. There's actually a tie for 4th, 5th, and 6th place with the same amount of items sold. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the chicken nuggets. People love the chicken nuggets. This is another one that I do in a fun display. I have it in a little basket, kind of like you would get at a diner or something along those lines. And again, people just love the chicken nuggets. I do those with different faces as well, just like the pickles. So for the chicken nuggets, again, kind of similar to the pickles where I had the most angry faces sell. I had 15 with angry faces sell, 14 with happy faces sell, and then the rest were straight faces. And for the chicken nuggets, I charged $10 each for these. And I totally forgot to mention earlier, but for the eggs, I also do the angry faces and the happy faces and all that on them. So for the eggs, we had a tie between angry faces and happy faces. I sold 9 of each of those, and then 7 of the straight face ones, just so you guys know. But now on to the 5th place, which was also 42 items sold, and this was frogs, specifically leggy frogs. I haven't made any other sorts of frogs in a long time, but I did sell 42 leggy frogs this year, which is quite crazy, and I charged $12 for each of those. The top seller, pretty much as always, is green frogs, just because that's the most traditional color. I had 24 of those sell, but I did also have 7 sell in pink, 6 sell in purple, 2 sell in blue, 2 sell in orange, and then 1 like multicolored one that I did randomly sold for me as well. Next on the list, we're already to the 4th place, which again, 4th, 5th, and 6th place are a tie because they all sold 42 items. But this next item is my opossums. So I make little opossums and people just love them. They've always been a good seller at my markets. They've probably always been in like the top 5, if not 10 at least. So yeah, this is another one that I totally expected to see on the list, and I charge $14 for each of these. All right, now we're on to the top 3 items. In 3rd place with 47 of these sold, you guys. Looking at some of these numbers, I can't believe that my hands made pretty much all of this. I mean, some of this was probably made in 2024, maybe like, you know, 1 or 2 for each of these items that I sold at like my first market of the year or something. But Almost all of this was made in 2025 without including other items, by the way. This is just my top 15 list. It's crazy to think that, you know, my top items had this many of them sell. But yeah, 47 sold, and that is for axolotls. People love the axolotls. This is something that I know is trendy currently and has been for a while. I'm pretty sure there's axolotls in like some kids shows and stuff like that, because maybe like 2 years ago at this point, I started getting requests for them at markets and I didn't even know what they were. I had to Google it myself. And once I learned, I was like, all right, well, people keep asking, so I'm gonna try it out. And yeah, ever since then, they've been a great seller for me. So 47 of them sold. I charge $15 each for them. And I do make them in blue, pink, and purple. I had 15 sell in blue and 15 sold in purple, and then 17 sold in pink. So just a few extra in pink, but overall pretty evenly distributed for which colors are selling. So that is for the third spot with the axolotls. And now on to number 2, which I'm pretty sure this was my number 1 last year, actually. I didn't go back and look at it though, but I'm pretty sure this was my number 1 for last year, but it's been demoted to number 2, and that is chickens, with 58 of them sold. Like literally crazy to me, 58 of them sold. And I charge $15 each for these as well. And I make these in all sorts of colors. I make them in gray and white as like solid colors, and then I do some speckled like white and black yarns as well. So my top seller for this year was 18 of them in just plain white. And then we had 11 of them in a multi-orange color, as well as 11 of them in like a white speckled color. And then a few of them in like a white and gray color as well. But yeah, top colors were white and then some multicolors as well. So 58 of them sold. Absolutely bananas. And before we get to the bestseller, I just want to give you guys some honorable mentions. These honorable mentions will also be linked in the description box and stuff below for you guys. But these are some of my big items that aren't bestsellers because I only make like 1 or 2 of them per market if I do get the time to make them. But they are ones that people love whenever I have them. So I want to kind of shout these out for you guys as well, especially if you're into making more big items and you like items that like you sew and you take a little more time, a little more intricate to make each one. These are going to be kind of your go-tos, I feel like. So one of my favorites to make, and is also a really good seller, is mermaids. I charged $35 each for them, and I had 5 of them sell. They're definitely an item that is a lot more intricate to make, but I have a lot of fun with them. I did one that was like Halloween themed with like an XI and like stitches, kind of like zombie, I guess you would say. And then the rest I did in just regular with like blonde hair or red hair or something along those lines. So yeah, 5 of those sold for $35 each. Another item that's definitely worth mentioning is loaf cats, which I also sell for $35 each. I had 5 of the regular loaf cats sell, and then I also alter the pattern to be a little smaller sometimes, and I had 5 of those sell as well. So 5 of each. For the larger ones, I do sell those at $35, and then for the altered ones that are a little smaller, I charge $25 for those. So that's another pretty good one that pretty much every time I have it at my market, it sells. And then cows, I don't make small cows hardly ever, but when I do have cows, like larger ones, people love them. I sold 2 of them that I call my classic cow, which is for $35 each. I've also sold 1 strawberry cow this year. This is one that I should definitely prioritize making more of in 2026 because every time I have them, they sell like almost immediately, and I think I sell that for $35 or $40. So that's another one that's a good one for sure. Oh, there's another cow here that I called Sparkly Cow because I use a different yarn with that. That one sold as well. So, and then some fun turtles as well I do every now and again. I normally charge about $35 for those as well. I do like sunflower turtles, I've done daisy turtles. I also, not this year, but in past years, I've done Halloween turtles. So people like the turtles and have a lot of fun with the turtles as well. So that's another item that I try to make whenever I have the time for it, but recently that has not been the case with school. One final honorable mention that I want to mention to you guys is kind of an inappropriate item, so I don't think I'm gonna really say it, or I'll just put a little picture on the screen maybe, because I don't want YouTube to get mad at me. But this is an item that goes in my 18 plus little curtain. I rolled out the 18 plus curtain, I think in February if I'm remembering correct. And it's not been as popular as I thought for my items that are in the 18 plus area, but it has been really fun. And again, it's like another eye-catching thing that people see the 18 plus sign and they're like, oh, I have to look at that, you know? So yeah, a good gag gift, and I sold 5 of these guys. And I do have some other items in my 18 plus section, but none of them have really been notable as far as the amount of sales they've had. But I am hoping to try out some other items to go in the 18 plus section in 2026. So we shall see how those sell, and of course I will report back to you guys as always. Now the moment you guys have been waiting for, my top selling item for 2025. Drum roll. It was 60 of my mini octopus that I sold in 2025. These, again, are $5, just like the mini bees that actually go in the same little bin. And I can crank these out so quick that honestly 60 is a realistic number. Like these other ones, I'm like, oh, the chickens and the axolotls and stuff seem like way more than the mini octopus. Because the mini octopus, I'm able to crochet them so quick. Literally just stick some eyes on them, stuff them, sew them up, and they're done. So yeah, people have loved these in 2025, and they're definitely one that I will be continuing with in 2026. Especially, like I was saying earlier with the mini bees, it's nice for people that have multiple kids, maybe want to buy like one thing for each kid, or a kid that's like almost out of money, they want to buy something to have an item that's a little cheaper, a little more in their budget. So yeah, that is all for my 2025 market bestsellers, as well as a few extra, you know, like honorable mentions in there that I wanted to share with you guys today. And hopefully this is helpful for you guys for your markets in 2026. I know it's helpful for me to look back on each year and realize what was selling well for me, so I can continue making those things in the new year, or, you know, discontinue making some items if they're not selling as well as I'd hoped. But anyways, you guys, with that, thank you so very much for watching today's video. If you guys did enjoy today's video, please do give it a big thumbs up. It helps push out this video to other people that will also hopefully find it helpful for selling at their own markets in 2026. And in general too, it lets me know that you enjoy this type of videos, so I know to keep on making them. And if you did enjoy it, you should of course hit that subscribe button and turn on that post notification bell. That way you'll know every single time I post a brand new video here on this channel. As you guys know, if you've kept up with me for the past couple of videos, I'm in full-time nursing school, so I kind of just post videos as I can. Of course, school keeps me very busy. It's an accelerated program, but I do my best to keep up with you guys and post videos every now and again because I still love doing it so much, even though I can't do it near as often as I used to. And I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below, whether you sell at markets, maybe what your best sellers were for 2025, or if you're wanting to sell at markets, let me know like what kinds of items you're wanting to make for your markets. All sorts of stuff like that I would love to hear from you guys, or just in general, let me know maybe some of your goals for 2026. Anything like that. I love to chat with you guys, and I try to get back to all of your comments. And final thing for today's video, I just want to wish you all a very happy new year and a happy 2026. I am so grateful for all of you being here, whether you are just seeing me for the first time in today's video, or you have watched every single one of my videos, or anywhere in between. I just appreciate you being here so much, and I appreciate you supporting me despite there being, you know, not a posting schedule like there used to be and that sort of thing. But thank you for letting me continue to do my hobby and make some sort of money off of it. I appreciate you guys very much. And again, I hope this video was informative for you guys. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here. Again, patterns for all of these items are linked in the description box down below for you. But with all of that, thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you guys here in the next one, whenever that happens to be. Goodbye.